Welcome back to the Technology Risk Podcast. Today we're tackling a challenge that I know many of you have likely encountered. It's the IT project that starts with so much promise, maybe a lot of fanfare, and then, well, poof, it vanishes. We're going to be exploring why it is that so many IT initiatives end up in this sort of digital black hole, you could call it, where budgets just disappear, teams get incredibly frustrated, and those systems we were all waiting for never actually see the light of day.
That's right. It's a frustratingly common scenario, isn't it? We're going to be looking closely today at the core issues that cause these projects to fail, and more importantly, what you can actually do to prevent these, well, costly and frankly demoralizing outcomes. Think of this as maybe your guide to navigating those treacherous waters.
And to really underscore the scale of this problem, maybe consider this statistic. Data from this Standish Group's Chaos Report suggests that around 68%, that's almost 70% of IT projects, either fail outright or, maybe just as bad, they just don't deliver the benefits they were supposed to.
68%, that's huge.
It is, and often it's because of things like, unclear goals and, let's be honest, sometimes not the best execution.
Exactly. And we'll be digging into the fundamental reasons behind those numbers today. We'll use some real-world examples, some more data, to really paint a picture of just how widespread these challenges actually are. Our aim here is really to provide you, the listener, with practical takeaways, actionable steps to ensure your technology projects don't just survive, but genuinely contribute.
Okay, so let's get right into it then. Why do these projects seem to go off the rails so often? And it feels like one of the really big issues crops up right at the start, like not having a clear idea of what you're trying to achieve. Poor planning.
Absolutely. That poor scope definition and planning. It's like setting sail without a destination, right? The risk of starting with vague objectives is just massive.
Right.
And when the scope keeps changing, keeps expanding, what people call scope creep, it's really no wonder the whole thing can eventually just, well, sink.
Yeah, scope creep. That's the killer. And the numbers really back this up, don't they? The Project Management Institute, PMI, they found that projects with poorly defined scopes end up costing about 50% more.
50% more.
And taking a staggering 60% longer to complete. I mean, think about that impact.
That's massive. And it's not just abstract figures, is it? We looked at a real-world example, a financial services company. They had to completely abandon a project to upgrade their CRM system, their customer relationship management tool. Why? Because the costs shot up by 70%. 70. Simply because they kept adding features, kept changing what it was supposed to do.
Wow. That's just a huge amount of wasted money and effort gone.
Completely down the drain.
It truly is. And another major hurdle seems to be that complex relationship sometimes between leadership, the sponsors, the IT teams doing the work, and any external vendors brought in.
Oh, absolutely. The misalignment piece.
Right. If those groups aren't all pulling in the same direction, it can really derail things quickly.
It certainly can. It's almost inevitable that different groups will have slightly different priorities or perspectives. But if those aren't surfaced, clearly communicated, and actively managed, the project can easily get stuck in the mud, or even worse, just fall apart completely.
Yeah. And Forrester's research really hits this point home. They found 78% of businesses report that this lack of alignment among key stakeholders is a primary reason projects fail.
78%, that's a huge majority. It tells you how critical that alignment piece is.
It really does.
And a perfect illustration we saw was a retail chain trying a major digital transformation. The whole initiative collapsed because the expectations of the senior executives, the internal IT department, and the various tech providers they hired were just completely out of sync.
So everyone had a different picture of success.
Exactly. Different visions, different priorities. It was doomed from the start, really, without that common ground.
Then you've got the very practical side of things, too. Just having enough resources, right? The right people, the tools, and crucially, having realistic expectations about what can actually be achieved in a certain time frame.
Right. Setting those overly ambitious goals with, limited resources, that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough skilled people focused on the project, or if you give the team an impossible deadline, well, you're almost guaranteed to see burnout. People get exhausted, frustrated, and eventually the project just stalls.
And research from Gartner backs this up, too, showing that 55%, over half, of IT projects face significant delays. or even get canceled entirely because of unrealistic timelines or not having enough resources allocated.
55%. It's staggering, isn't it?
It is.
And we saw an example, a manufacturing company trying to implement a new ERP system, enterprise resource planning. They had incredibly tight deadlines imposed from above. The pressure was immense. And what happened? Key members of the IT team actually left the company mid-project.
Oh, wow. Right in the middle of it.
Right. Which, as you can imagine, was a massive setback. Ultimately, the project failed.
So, okay, we see why they fail. But when these projects vanish into this IT Bermuda Triangle, what's the real fallout? The impact? It must go deeper than just missing a deadline or going over budget, right?
Oh, absolutely. The consequences ripple right through the organization. One of the most immediate, most obvious is the financial loss, plain and simple. These IT projects, they often represent really significant investments, millions sometimes. And when they fail, all those resources, the money spent, the time invested, the sheer human effort, it's essentially wasted. No return.
And we have a pretty stark example of that, a logistics firm, right? They poured over $250,000 into a major overhaul of their network infrastructure.
$250,000.
Yeah. And the project was ultimately just halted, never completed. That's a direct hit to their bottom line.
It is. And then you zoom out, and the PMI statistic, it's mind-boggling. Failed or abandoned IT projects cost organizations globally an average of $100 million annually.
$100 million.
Yeah.
Every year.
Every year. It just shows the sheer scale of this waste worldwide. It's a massive drain.
Beyond the money, though. It seems like there's a very real human cost involved, too. When projects fail again and again, it must be incredibly demoralizing for the people actually working on them.
Without a doubt. It's hugely disheartening. Imagine you dedicate your time, your energy, your expertise, week after week, month after month, to projects that end up getting canceled, or maybe they launch but just don't achieve their goals. It leads to a real drop in morale, and as we've seen in some cases, it directly causes higher employee turnover. People just leave.
Yeah, they look for environments where they can actually succeed, right?
Exactly.
That example we looked at, the healthcare company, they saw a significant number of IT staff leave after a whole series of project cancellations. That really highlights that human cost.
It does. People want to feel their work matters, that it contributes to something successful. And there's data here, too. Tech Republic found 40% of IT professionals said project failures significantly negatively impacted their job satisfaction.
40%. That's nearly half the IT workforce feeling that way because of failed projects.
It's a widespread issue, and it has long-term consequences for attracting and keeping good tech talent.
And then finally, there's the reputation hit, right? A history of failed or seriously delayed IT projects that can't exactly inspire confidence among customers or, partners or stakeholders.
That's absolutely right. It erodes trust. When projects are constantly behind schedule, or they get scaled back dramatically, or just abandoned altogether, it damages the company's image. Externally, with clients, partners, even the general public, people start questioning the organization's competence, its ability to deliver on its promises.
We saw that with the regional bank example. They faced public criticism, even lost customers, after a big system upgrade ran into major failures.
Right. That kind of negative publicity can be really damaging and, frankly, hard to shake off. And Accenture's data backs this up strongly. 61% of businesses believe IT project failures damage their external reputation and credibility.
Over 60%. So it's not just an internal problem. It really affects how the world sees you.
Precisely. In today's connected world, reputation is everything.
Okay, so we've got a good handle now on why these projects often go wrong and the serious consequences, financial, human, reputational. The crucial question then becomes, how do organizations navigate their way out of this IT Bermuda Triangle? What are some concrete steps they can take? Where do you even start?
Well, the very first step, and honestly it's foundational, is really focusing on clearly aligning the expectations of all the key stakeholders, right from the get-go.
That alignment first, okay.
This means taking the time, really investing the time to define crystal clear goals for the project, and making absolutely sure that everyone involved understands and agrees. That's leadership, the IT team, any business units involved, external vendors. Everyone needs a shared understanding of what the project is trying to achieve and what success actually looks like.
And we saw a positive example of this, didn't we? A retail company. They successfully launched a complex e-commerce platform. And a big reason was putting in place a robust process just to make sure everyone's expectations were truly aligned.
Exactly. It sounds simple, but it's often overlooked in the rush to get started. It really is the bedrock for success.
And the data supports it, too. Harvard Business Review found that projects where stakeholder expectations are clearly aligned are, remarkably, 40% more likely to succeed.
40% more likely. That just underscores how powerful that initial alignment step is. It sets the stage for everything else.
Okay, so alignment is step one. The next logical step, it seems, is getting really serious about defining the project's scope and managing resources properly. It's not enough just to agree on the goal. You need a detailed plan to get there.
Precisely. Thorough upfront planning is absolutely essential. You can't skimp on this. This includes clearly defining the boundaries, what's in scope, and just as importantly, what is out of scope.
Right, setting those boundaries clearly.
Yeah, and establishing realistic timelines for delivery, allocating the necessary resources, both people and budget, and developing a comprehensive project plan that everyone understands.
And the PMI's research again shows the value here. Organizations that invest in strong initial project scoping, they see an average reduction of 30% in project overruns.
30% reduction. That's a significant saving just from doing that homework at the beginning.
It really is.
Skipping this crucial phase, well, it almost guarantees problems are going to pop up later on. And then, once the project is underway, maintaining continuous communication and fostering strong collaboration, that becomes absolutely vital.
Yeah, it can't just be a kickoff meeting and then radio silence until the deadline looms.
No way.
You need regular, transparent communication channels. Everyone needs to be informed. Potential issues need to be flagged early. People need to feel involved.
Exactly, and effectively using project management tools can really help facilitate this. Having a central place for sharing information, tracking progress, clarifying responsibilities, it ensures everyone stays on the same page.
So roadblocks can be addressed proactively, not when they've already caused a major delay.
Precisely. It's about transparency and constant connection.
Another key aspect seems to be how the work itself is approached. This idea of iterative delivery, constantly seeking feedback. That sounds like a smarter way to handle complex projects.
Yes, absolutely. Embracing what are often called agile methodologies, these approaches emphasize breaking the project down into smaller, more manageable chunks or sprints, and delivering them in iterative cycles. This allows for a much more flexible approach.
So you're not trying to build the entire thing in one go.
Exactly. You build a piece, get feedback from stakeholders, adapt based on that feedback, then build the next piece. It lets you adjust changing requirements much more easily. You avoid those huge, risky all-or-nothing deployments.
And we saw an example of a financial firm that really improved its project success rates by adopting these agile frameworks.
We did.
It sounds like it allows for that crucial course correction along the way, which seems essential today with technology changing so fast.
It does. That adaptability is a major, major advantage. And finally, underpinning all of this, none of it really works without strong project leadership and clear accountability.
Right. Someone needs to actually own the project, be responsible for its success.
Absolutely. Having a clearly identified project owner, someone who is ultimately accountable for the outcomes, it seems fundamental, but like you said earlier, it's surprising how often that can be murky or overlooked.
Yeah, responsibility gets diffused.
Unfortunately, yes. But the PMI statistic here is telling. Projects with clearly defined ownership have a 60% lower rate of failure.
60% lower.
Yeah. It just underscores how critical it is to have that single point of responsibility, driving things forward, making decisions, ensuring issues get tackled.
Okay, it's always helpful to look at real-world stories too, the successes and, well, the disasters. We have a story of a mid-sized professional services firm that was really struggling, right? High rate of IT project failures. What did they actually do?
They took a very deliberate, multifaceted approach. It wasn't just one silver bullet. First, they implemented clear project governance structures. So establishing clear rules, processes for managing projects, making decisions.
Okay, structure and process.
Right. Then they created dedicated project leadership roles, really empowering specific individuals to take ownership. And third, they adopted agile methodologies for their development work, moving away from older, more rigid approaches. It was quite a comprehensive overhaul.
And the results, it sounds like it paid off significantly.
It really did. They achieved a remarkable 70% reduction in their IT project failures. 70%.
Wow, that's dramatic.
It was. And this wasn't just about saving money, although they did save around $120,000 annually. It also led to a significant boost in employee morale. Teams started experiencing success, feeling like their work was making a difference again.
That's a fantastic outcome. And it really drives home that point about strategic alignment and clear leadership making a huge difference.
Exactly. When everyone knows the goal and there's someone clearly accountable for getting there, you see results.
Now, on the flip side, we also looked at a regional healthcare organization that consistently struggled. What was their story? What went wrong there?
Sadly, their experience is a perfect illustration of what happens when those fundamentals, alignment, realistic planning, are ignored. They repeatedly canceled IT projects, often deep into development. Why? Because they hadn't done the necessary upfront work. Scope wasn't clear, expectations were misaligned, and they consistently set goals that were simply not achievable with the resources and time they actually had.
Just setting themselves up for failure, basically.
Pretty much. And the consequences were quite severe, weren't they?
Yeah, it wasn't just minor setbacks. They ended up wasting around $200,000 in investments on projects that never delivered anything.
$200,000 down the drain.
Plus, significant frustration and burnout among their IT staff. People were leaving. And maybe most critically, given they're in healthcare, they had to delay important system upgrades, which potentially impacted patient care delivery.
That really underscores the serious harm that can result when you neglect these basic project management principles. It's not just about IT, it affects the whole organization's mission.
So looking ahead then, as organizations try to navigate this complex landscape, what are some key ways they can maybe future-proof their IT project strategy? How do they avoid falling into these traps repeatedly?
Well, one key theme that comes through strongly is embracing more agile and flexible approaches. The ability to adapt to changing needs, to pivot, to incorporate feedback throughout the project lifecycle, that seems absolutely essential in today's environment.
Right. Things just change too quickly for those rigid multi-year plans sometimes.
Exactly. Those iterative methodologies, they allow for much greater responsiveness. They significantly reduce the risk of investing heavily in a direction that might be outdated before the project is even finished.
Prioritizing strategic alignment also feels crucial for the long term, making absolutely sure that every single IT project is directly tied to the overarching business goals, that it's not just IT for IT's sake.
That's right. When IT initiatives are clearly linked to business objectives, it provides a clear why for the project. It helps secure buy-in across the organization, and ultimately, it ensures the project delivers real, tangible value, not just a piece of technology.
And finally, it sounds like investing in strong project governance and leadership isn't optional, it's fundamental.
Absolutely fundamental. Establishing clear structures for decision-making, robust oversight processes, and ensuring there is clear accountability at every stage. It's the bedrock.
Yeah.
Robust governance provides that necessary framework. Strong leadership ensures the project stays on track, deals with challenges proactively, and keeps the team focused and motivated towards the actual outcomes.
So as we've explored today, this IT Bermuda Triangle, it's a very real threat, isn't it? Fueled by that toxic mix of unclear scope, stakeholder misalignment, and just inadequate planning.
It is a real threat. But the good news, and this is important, is that these pitfalls are avoidable. These are not inevitable outcomes. By really placing a strong emphasis on clear communication, ensuring everyone is truly aligned on the goals, and adopting more flexible, iterative ways of working, organizations can significantly improve their chances of success.
I can navigate out of the triangle.
Exactly. They can steer their technology projects to successful completion.
So we really encourage you, our listeners, to maybe take a close look at your own organization's current approaches to IT projects. Consider how some of these insights might help ensure that your valuable initiatives don't just survive, but truly thrive and deliver on their potential. Thank you so much for joining us for this discussion on the Technology Risk Podcast. If you found this information valuable, please do subscribe to the Technology Risk Podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to stay updated on future episodes.
Yes, thank you for listening to the Technology Risk Podcast. We encourage you to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for more discussions on navigating the complexities of technology risk.